Welcome back. In this lecture, we shall practice a few questions on the left join. So, while discussing the concepts, we came to know that the left join and the right join are practically the same. So, it depends on which tables you want to retain all the columns of which table. Accordingly, we can suppose we want to get all the columns from table A, in which case we can write the query as from table A left join table B. So we can change in table A and table B, and we shall primarily focus on the left join, so that the concept is more clear, and it's not about left or right. Getting one thing, grasping the concept completely will be helpful. I mean, it's a material to focus equally on the left on right. So we will focus on the left join and do quite a few interesting problems, and I hope by the end of the lecture it will be crystal clear. So the first question is, get the list of students who got admission through the sports quota. So by sports quota means these students didn't take the entrance exam, that is like GRE or GMAT, but were still admitted. So the student information we can get from the student table, but to get the entrance information we shall have to look at the entrance table. So let's go back to the table relationship. So here we can see in the student table we have all this information about the student, and to get the information about the entrance we will have to go to this table, and these two tables are linked by the stud ID and student ID. So stud ID is the foreign key in the entrance table. So we'll have to join these two tables. So let's jump to PG admin. Select star from student. What does it look like? Let's have a look. Okay, so this column will connect with the entrance table as a foreign key. Join, let's call this table T1. Join entrance, let's call it T2 on T1 dot student ID is equal to T2 dot stud ID. And the interesting part is when the join happens, so students who didn't take the entrance, for the corresponding student there will not be any record in the entrance table, entrance part of the table. So what will happen, it will have null values. So what we need to put in the condition is T2 dot let's have a quick look at the entrance table as well. Select star from score, sorry, entrance. So whosoever took the entrance exam, they must be having like a score, either GRE score or GMAT score, depending on the entrance code. So we have two entrance code, one for GRE and one for GMAT. Okay. All right. So in that case, the students who didn't take the entrance exam, the score should be null. And what do we want for these students? Means we want all the information. T1 score, what T2 dot score. Oh my god, we are doing left join. Okay. So you notice the difference, right? If we had put in join, then only the matching column would have been in the output. So this is the case. So which practically means since we are joining the matching column, there won't be any null value. But in this case, we are interested in knowing the null value. so that we could pinpoint which students didn't take the entrance exam. So there are three students who didn't take the entrance exam, and they were admitted based on their sports performances. Okay, so I hope it makes sense. Let's go to the next question. Get the first name and last name of the students and the name of activity and category of activity they pursued. Also include those students who didn't participate in any activity. So first name and last name we can get from the student table. For activity and activity category, let's see. So student those participated in extracurricular, they have some activity ID. Okay, and in the activity table we have the activity name and activity category. So we want activity name, activity category. So student table is connected to extracurricular and extracurricular table is connected to activity table. Okay, so let's jump to PG admin. Select from student. So first we'll join extracurricular table. T2 basis of join will be student ID. So student ID is the foreign key in the extracurricular table. So this is student ID is stud ID in the extracurricular table. Further we need to join. So we are doing left join. By default I write join. Okay, and then we need to join extracurricular table with the activity table. Let's call it T3. So T2 dot extracurricular table. So extracurricular table activity ID is a foreign key in this table, and it is primary key in the activity table. Okay. So one point of caution I would like to highlight, since we want the students who didn't participate in any activity to have null values. So in this case we'll have to get left join in both the joins. Means it's not that if we omit join here, what will happen, it won't return the null values, because in the next filtering criteria the null value will be omitted. So this will do, what this will do is to get the matching columns only, and so the null values will be omitted. What is the error? Line 1, select star from student T1, student T2, T1, student ID T3, syntax at or near join. Okay, let's throw it out. Oh, sorry. Spelling of activity is not correct. I hope it should run now. So we can see for the activity part. So what are the columns that we need? Let's have a look first. And there are many columns. So First filter out the columns. We want the first name and last name, and then activity Steven, first name, last name, and then activity name. Activity name will come from table T3. And activity category. Oh, I have a habit of writing wrong. Okay, so we can see there is no null values. So what this join is effectively doing is to just matching the common rows. If we put in left over here, so in this case we can see some null values. See, these students didn't have any extracurricular activity. Okay, so I hope it makes sense, right? So we want all the students from this table, and then while making the first left join, we get the matching columns as well as the null values, and then effectively we mapped the students who participated in the extracurricular activities by student ID to the next table in which we get the activity. Okay, so in extracurricular table we got the activity and mapped it to the activity ID of the activity table. So I hope it makes sense. So one other way of writing the same query would be to, since these two tables are interacting, right? So we joined student with extracurricular and extracurricular to activity. So effectively these two tables deal with the extracurricular activities. Okay, and once we have it, we can map first name and last name from this table. So one alternate way of writing this code will be to join these two columns independently. Let's select star from extracurricular, call it table A, and we can effectively join. So we don't need a left join here. I hope it makes sense. A dot activity ID, B dot ID. Okay, let's call it X. So always give an alias to the subquery that we write in the joins, because effectively this is a table, right? So if you don't give alias, it won't work. We can check. And now, so these two tables connect the students who participated in the activities. So we get student ID from this table and activity information from this table, and so we will use the student ID from this table to join the student table. Okay, so we'll join T1 via student ID, and in the extracurricular table, so effectively this is now one amalgamated table. So in out of this parenthesis, extracurricular and activity doesn't have any existence. So these two are effectively one table, and the table name is X, and student ID was defined as stud ID. Okay, activity, I need to write activity 100 times. Oh my god. Okay, forget it. We should write x, since we changed the name of the table. X dot x. Whoa, yeah, we got the same output. Yeah, we have null values for the students who didn't participate in the extracurricular. So one important thing, so if you don't give alias, it will throw error. Okay, line 3. So this is not reading, so you will have to give alias anytime you use a subquery in the join clause. Okay, now let's move to the next question. So we did joining more than 2 tables while making left join. So one important criteria, we can put condition in on as well as where, but there is a difference what it does. So what on does, condition put in the on enables the join, it is the basis of join, whereas the condition put in the where clause is the basis of filtering the rows once the join has already happened. Okay, so always keep in mind, but in case of inner join, it does not make any difference whether you put the condition on clause or where clause, but in a left join or right join, it makes a difference, because once the join has happened, and if you put the condition on where, you won't get any null values. Okay, and at times, means this is very important, means practically why we do left join or right join is we want null value in the counterpart table. Okay, that's why we use left join. And if we put the condition in the where clause, it will like mitigate the utility of these joins, left join or right join. We should try to understand this concept using an example. Okay, so this is a question. Okay, get the first name and last name of the student and also the name of the activity of the students who are in adventurous activities. Okay, adventurous activities, and get activity name null if they are not in adventurous activities. So it is very precise. If there are a lot of activities, but here we are interested in only adventurous activities, if the students are not in the adventurous activity, the corresponding rows should be null. So this is an interesting case. Okay, so let's jump to the PG admin. So let's copy the question, man. It will be convenient. Let's copy the question and put here the question. Okay, so we want the first name and last name of the students. We will get it from student table, and name of the activity of the student who are in adventurous activity. So the student table can be connected to extracurricular table using student ID, and then in this table we have one column called activity ID, that is a foreign key for the activity table. So we connect these two tables one by one. Let's see how to solve this problem. So select from student, let's call it A, join extracurricular, call it B. Basis of join is in student table, the column is student ID. In the extracurricular, it is stud ID. It is a foreign key, which is a primary key in the student table. Okay. We need left join, and next what we need to do is to, instead of joining one by one, let's join it as like join extracurricular table and activity table together. Select star from extracurricular These can be joined because these are mapped. B dot activity ID. So why we are joining these table? We are joining this table to get the activity name, activity category, and activity name. Okay, and so this will be one amalgamated table, and this in this table we'll have one column stud ID that can be connected to student. Okay, so this table, student table, can be connected by the key, that is student ID, and which can be found in extracurricular, and these two table can be connected by activity ID. So we connect these two table, so these table act as a single table, and which can further be connected with the student table using stud ID or in this table and student ID in this table. So practically this can be treated as one table, and let's give it a name max. Okay, now we are joining these two table, student ID x dot stud ID. Okay, so what is the condition? So we are discussing on versus where. So we want only those students who participated in the adventurous activities. Okay, so activity category or activity name. Let's have a quick look at the activity table. So let's comment it. Select star from activity. Okay, so these are the activity category and the activity names. So if you look at it, so tennis is a sports category, boxing is a sports category, weightlifting is a sports category. Then we have guitar, painting, sketching that fall in the arts category, and then we have adventure. Okay, so what we want is where students are in adventurous category. So activity category x dot activity category is equal to adventurous or adventure. What is that? Adventure. Okay, let's see what does the output look like. I seriously need to write activity 100 times. So we didn't get any output. Why it happened? Because we didn't put anything here. So what do we need exactly? We need first name, last name, these will come from the student table, and the name of the activity. So activity name will come from activity name and activity category, both in the activity table. So practically that is x activity name comma x dot activity category. Okay, so what is happening? So first we are joining the two tables, and since this is the left table, until this part we had some null values, but when you filter it for the adventure, so only the adventure column is returned. Let's look at it. So earlier we had everything. See, we have like so many rows, 34 rows. So these are null. So these students didn't participate in any activity. And then we have people participating in sports activity, arts activity, adventure activity, and all sort of activities. Okay. So what is happening when we are putting where x dot activity category is adventure, so it is only getting adventure category. But when we put, instead of where, we put it in the on clause, and so this is the basis of join. So what is happening? It is only picking adventure category rows from the right table. So from this practically our right table. This is our left table. So what is it doing? It is connecting student table with this amalgamated table based on the student ID. Of course, that is the only way we can do it. And the next, it is only connecting those rows in which the activity category is adventure. So what will happen? Those people who are not in adventure, whether they are in art or sports, still will get null values for them. And those who didn't participate in any activity, of course, will get null for them. So here we can see people who participated in any activity but not adventure, we are getting null. Okay. So that was the purpose to demonstrate it. So always be mindful what we want to achieve out of the join. And so in that case, it will make a difference whether we are putting the condition in on or where. I hope you enjoyed this interesting lecture, and solve the practice problems. We have very interesting practice problems, and you'll get also solutions in the very next lecture. So these are three questions. Please do solve, and we will meet in the next lecture. Till then, happy learning.